Hey there, Tim friends. Hey there, Tim friends, and welcome back to the channel. I feel like it's a tradition at this point. Gotta say it, it's been far too long. Because, honestly, it really has. It's been just way too long since the last update. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and maybe we'll be able to get into that and kind of explain all of that. But first of all, if you're new, welcome. Welcome to the channel, welcome to the video. This is a kind of thing that I do from time to time. You can look through my channel, you'll see these videos. Not a lot of people watch them, and it's kind of just like me in the thumbnail doing something. And even in this ongoing series of, I guess you could call this the next episode of the Thoughtcast, the unofficial Tim Thoughts podcast. This episode is going to be even more different, I think. I always mention it, but it's like I never get these things on the first take. It always takes me 2, 3, 4 different tries to finally say something worthwhile and meaningful and feels reasonable enough to publish and release out there into the world. And this video is no different. In fact, this is probably like at least the 10th time I've hit that record button. And why is that, you ask? Well, great question. I'm glad you asked. Honestly, I have just been going through it lately. It's just been tough, There's a lot of things I could blame, but like, I don't like playing the blame game. I don't like to denigrate others or talk about, what other people did or what things outside of my control led to things happening that I didn't want to happen. Because, the reality is that it's just like that for everybody. We're all just out here doing our best. And, hey, Future Tim here, and I come bearing gifts. Most notably, the gift of perspective. So, you've been watching Past Tim, or as I affectionately call him, Sad Tim. And, he was really going through it. But I've been editing this video for the better part of a week now, and I just want to say, I think he really had something to say. And I'm glad he took the time to say it. So, if you give him a shot, maybe you'll come away with something interesting and thought-provoking. And I guess the thing that I just want to say is that there is value in that. There's value in the low times and the high times. And even though I'm feeling a lot better about things in general right now, I do want to let Sad Tim talk and let him say his piece, because he had a lot to say and he put a lot of effort into that. So, if you're willing, give it a shot. By the way, I'll be back again later to kind of wrap things up, because I don't think he quite got there with his final point, but there are some things I wanted to say. So I'll catch you in a bit. It's hard. It's really, really hard. Especially this year. This year has felt really tough. I guess before we continue, disclaimer, this is not gonna be a super happy, uplifting kind of video. I've tried. Trust me, I've tried. And that's actually kind of one of the things that led me to starting the video this way, was I feel like I've arrived at a place through multiple attempts and failures that I now understand that, like, this video is just gonna be this way. I'm just, through life's ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, I'm like here somewhere right now. I don't know if I'm on the down approaching the bottom or if I'm past the bottom coming up, but I'm not back in the upswing part yet. I'm just going through it, So, if you're looking for just something, light and airy and fun, this is not the video, and I don't blame you at all if you just click out right now. That's totally cool. I get it. You know, a lot of the time I just open up YouTube looking for something to watch when I'm eating, so feel free to move on. For those of you still with us, let me, I guess, further explain or just continue talking, because this is going to be pretty much the whole video. So yeah, like I mentioned, I've tried so many different times, so many different ways to talk about whatever it is that I needed to talk about, you know? And I feel like the thing is I just need to let it out. I just need to talk about whatever's going on in my mind right now. Whatever, you know, the tough things are, whatever the difficult things are. Maybe kind of get a lay of the land for the channel, for, you know, the future, but really like for my own mental space, my own mental well-being. And if you know the channel at all, if you know me at all, you know that like these videos where I'm talking to you guys, it's like 90% I'm just talking to myself. And I just hope that, you know, something gets through to some of you guys out there and can resonate with all of you guys, or some of you guys. I guess where I can start is, you know, I first started kind of exploring these thoughts and emotions and feelings lately in an essay that I wrote. I published it on the Patreon. If you haven't checked it out, feel free to do so. You don't need to like log in or contribute or anything. There's a link in the description that'll just take you directly there. And, you know, in that essay, I was just kind of exploring this feeling of like feeling so down and out, and this kind of like, I don't know, seasonal depression that's come on as a result of just like overworking, overcommitting, overextending, which is why it's called hyperextension. And, you know, in the essay I talk about like how my niece and nephew came to visit, and, you know, my niece was asking to like go to Starbucks, which she's 9 years old. The girl does not need Starbucks, trust me. So I just said no. And I said no to a lot of things, because like when those kids are at my house, you know, they depend on me, and I got to be the adult, and like being the adult means saying no. And, you know, that kind of led me down this whole rabbit hole of trying to sort of like grapple with and understand that concept, where it's like me as the like adult in a situation like that, when I'm taking care of kids, it's so easy to see, you know, peer into the matrix and see what it is they need in their lives and what's good for them, you know. And obviously Starbucks is not good for them, you know. They don't need to buy like a million things at Daiso or whatever. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I spoiled them plenty, but it's like, you know, a lot of the time I just had to say no. And like, I'm a firm believer that, you know, the discipline is so important. And I'm not saying they don't get discipline out there, but like when they're with me, when I'm the caretaker, I need to, you know, there's a give and take, you know. And it's like, why is it just so easy to say no to them? And it's like so hard for me to say no for myself, for anything, like whether it's like agreeing to do something for somebody, doing favors for other people, taking on more tasks than I can handle, working on something extra that like I don't need to work on, you know, like just like heaping it on, pile it on. I'll do this. Yeah, sure, I could do that. Sure, I could do that. And it's like, yeah, of course I could do that. And I could work on the video, and I could do the thing, and I could do social media, and I can talk to all the people and do all the messages and correspondence and all the comments. And it's like, it becomes like so much, you know? And it's like, I'm not even really that popular, you know? I'm not like, it's not like I'm a big channel or anything, but like, you just say yes. You say yes and yes and yes and yes and yes. And like, before you know it, you're just like inundated, you know, overwhelmed with like all this stuff. And, so, you know, it got to the point where it was just totally overwhelming. And now I'm finally at a point, you know, logistically speaking, where like I can breathe and I have time to like work on videos like this one. And, you know, I keep sitting down to record this video, and all that comes out is just like sad, depressing, mumbo jumbo stuff. And yeah, I'm not saying this is like the happiest video ever that you're watching now, but I think I'm kind of arriving, you know, at that point where I can actually say something reasonable without just being sad all the time. And I guess like one of the things that like I've been thinking a lot about lately, and maybe one of the things that's made it so hard to record this video, is just being real, you know? And like I feel like that's sort of one of the core facets of Tim Thoughts, of this channel. I feel like that's one of the things I have always strived to do, strived to be. It's one of the core philosophies, core tenets of the channel, of myself, of my artistry, you know, so to speak. And, you know, it's like, I feel like in this world that's becoming so increasingly bloated and artificial, it's like, I'm trying to like throw a lifeline out there, you know, for people who would want it or who are looking for it, something like real to like grab onto, to sink your teeth into, to take a break from all of the clickbait and the rage bait and the, you know, unending nonsensical just avalanche of content out there that's like constantly vying for your attention and dollars and blah 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 blah. And it's like, I feel like there's just so much of that out there that like I wanted to create something that is by me, for you out there, for the people who, you know, care about this channel, who care about something, you know. Like I'm not trying to say I'm like better than other people or my work is better than other people's. That's like literally specifically not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to argue that like what I do is better. I'm not trying to argue anything about like subjective scales of quality, but I am trying to say that I'm trying to put out, you know, my real feelings, my real thoughts, my real emotions. And sometimes that's very raw. Sometimes it's much more refined. And sometimes I guess it's like this, where it's like somewhere in the middle, more on the raw side, but you know. And I think a really good passage that sort of sums up a lot of this comes from this book, Infinite Jest. Maybe you've heard of it. I don't remember if I've talked about it before on the channel or not. I've been like reading it on and off for the past like 2 years. Not because it's like insanely difficult to read, but just, you know, I would like pick it up and then put it down for a while, then pick it up and so on. And it's this book by the author, David Foster Wallace. It's an incredible book. The man was a genius. And we have so many striking similarities. At least one of the main characters, Hal, in the book, he is a high school tennis player, and you know, he's like a kind of like a deep thinker and goes through all this stuff. And like the book is about like tennis, but it's about life, and it's about addiction and alcoholism and drugs and like all this stuff. And it's set like in the sort of near future. And you know, trying to get back to the main point here, one of the main characters, Hal, his brother, his name is Mario. And see, Mario was born with a certain set of birth imperfections. He has an abnormally large head and actually needs like a extra support to keep it up. You know, he just sees the world a bit differently. He can function on his own, go places on his own, feed himself, but he does need, you know, some extra help and attention from the people around him. But the thing about Mario is that he has a very, very, what I would call like pure soul. He sees the world sort of through the eyes of a child. And at this point in the book, Mario is 19 years old, and their family is all wacky. And even though Hal is slightly younger than him, Mario looks up to him as an older brother. And there's one night when Mario is really struggling. He's had insomnia for a little while now because his favorite radio show, featuring a woman named Madame Psychosis, has been off the air for a while, and he would always listen to Madame Psychosis, which sort of helped him drift off to sleep. But lately, he's been having trouble sleeping because the show is gone. He's not really been talking with Hal a lot lately. He feels like their relationship is a bit estranged. And, this one particular night, he's up and just sort of meandering around the grounds because he is trying to find a way to get to sleep. And, that's sort of the introduction to this passage I would like to share with you. Mario had fallen in love with the first Madame Psychosis programs because he felt like he was listening to someone sad read out loud from yellow letters she'd taken out of a shoebox on a rainy PM. Stuff about heartbreak and people you loved dying and US woe. Stuff that was real. It is increasingly hard to find valid art that is about stuff that is real in this way. The older Mario gets, the more confused he gets about the fact that everyone at ETA over the age of about Kent Blott finds stuff that's really real uncomfortable, and they get embarrassed. It's like there's some rule that real stuff can only get mentioned if everybody rolls their eyes or laughs in a way that isn't happy. The worst feeling thing that happened today was at lunch when Michael Pemulus told Mario he had an idea for setting up a dial-a-prayer telephone service for atheists, in which the atheist dials the number and the line just rings and rings and no one answers. It was a joke, and a good one, and Mario got it. What was unpleasant was that Mario was the only one at the big table whose laugh was a happy laugh. Everybody else sort of looked down like they were laughing at somebody with a disability. The whole issue was far above Mario's head, and he was unable to understand Lyle's replies when he tried to bring the confusion up. And Hal was, for once, no help, because Hal seemed even more uncomfortable and embarrassed than the fellows at lunch, and when Mario brought up real stuff, Hal called him boo-boo and acted like he'd wet himself, and Hal was going to be very patient about helping him change. So, I just read this passage recently. I'm maybe like 3/4 of the way through the book. And I guess one of the things that's important to note about this book is that when the POV shifts to different characters, David Foster Wallace, the author, also shifts the tone and the diction he uses in writing these different passages. So even though this passage is sort of like a third person about Mario and his thoughts, it's also from Mario's perspective. So you can see by the way that it's written that it's sort of like meandering, and it's sort of simple and basic. There's not a lot of like complex words or thoughts used. And, he's really just confused by why it is that it's so difficult for people to talk about real things, like heartbreak and loss and suffering and things like that. And, when I was reading this, it just hit me like right in the heart, it was like, pew, like just like sniped me. And I was struck. I was totally struck because I just feel like he's so right, It's like, I myself, I think, am like neurotypical, but I, have met, I would say, my fair share of, neurodivergent people also. And I know that it's somewhat common for people to probably share a similar sentiment to this, where it's like they don't fully understand all of these very complex and obfuscated social cues that most people walk around all day with these different masks they interchange based on who they're talking to and what they're talking about, and all these different ways that we use language to deflect and defend ourselves from, the sort of realness underneath. I mean, I understand, this is sort of a rhetorical thing, right? Like, I understand, I'm turning 34 years old. I get it. You don't want to just like go out there and talk to so-and-so about all your problems and feelings and start crying, waiting for the bus or whatever. But like at the same time, it's like, it's so hard to extend those feelings and those sentiments and the emotions and the ideas and the thoughts underlying so much of our lives to even the people closest to us, our significant others, our best friends, our families, our loved ones, right? Like, it's so hard to get to the heart of the matter, and it's just so tiring, it's so difficult and it's so tiring. And it's like, why can't we just say what we're thinking? Why can't we just say what's on our mind? Why do we have to dance around and pretend like everything's fine and, talk about nothing all the time because it's so hard to talk about anything real, And like, I get it. Mario is like an innocent. He's like a pure soul. And so, we, us tainted individuals of this world, can't reach such lofty heights so easily. But like, when I read that passage, when I think about life, when I think about everyone I know, everyone I've met, everyone I talk to, it all becomes so strangely connected, And for me, like reading this passage, I felt like this was something near and dear to like David Foster Wallace's heart. It's a very complex book with a lot of different characters, a lot of different POVs, a lot of different problems that all sorts of people from all different spectrums deal with. But I feel like Mario is a character that he uses to kind of get to the real heart of the matter. And it's like everybody around Mario treats him with a certain, like gentleness because they understand, that he just sees the world a little bit differently. I think that we all sort of do that. We do that with kids. We do that with like, like Mario, like people with disabilities or different ways of thinking. We tend to, kind of like talk down to them and shroud them and shield them from, the harsh reality of the world. But like in doing so, I think we also are just working so hard to shield ourselves from the reality of the world, right? It's like this year has been so hard, I mean, you guys are out there, you're watching this video, I'm sure you, even if you don't pay attention to the news on a daily basis, I'm sure much of it has affected you in some direct or indirect way, and you get a lot of it through osmosis from the media you consume or the people around you. And it's been a tough year, man. There's so much pain and suffering in this world, and it feels like the people on top just care more about like the numbers on the screen than they do about the people on the ground, and that's just like, it's just so unfortunate, and I mean, maybe that's sort of like the impetus for all of this, for this whole video, for talking about that passage, for talking about like what's real. It's like we get so far removed from what's real, like we talk to our friends and our coworkers and blah 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 about just like whatever's on, Netflix, YouTube, new movies, new shows, TikTok, blah 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 blah. Talk about like stupid AI crap that like nobody likes, and not that like we shouldn't talk about those things. That's I'm not saying there's an inherent problem with that, but like the problem I think the problem that I'm getting at is that in addition to those things, we never really get to the real part underneath all of it, right? It's like we focus so much on these like sliding screens of entertainment over and over and over again that it's just easier. It's just easier to not think about it, to not think about the atrocities happening in the world around us, to not think about, you know, our rights being taken away, to not think about the giant corporations and techno-fascists that want to rule the world and be despots, you know, on top of their AI thrones or whatever, you know. And like, I mean, you know, again, I get it, you know. I'm not like advocating that we just like all stop doing everything and just give up and burn it all to the ground. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I just wish that we could be more real, at least some of the time, you know? And I think that's always gonna be the thing about this channel and what I do and the kinds of stuff that I make and the kinds of environments that I foster. You know, there's this certain uncomfortability with it all that just doesn't sit right with a lot of people. But that's what it takes, you know? I think if we want to live this life fully, if we want to live our lives fully as human beings on this planet, in this simulation, we need to experience everything that our brains have to offer. You know, it's like suffering is a necessity, you know, suffering gives context. It's the background for the canvas, for the art that is our lives. We must endure through the hard times and the sad times and the bad times, because that's what enables us to have the good times and the happy times and to create, right? It's like you need to go through all of this pain and the suffering. You need to acknowledge it, and you need to understand it, and you need to trudge through the misery and the pain and the sadness and the depression and the anxiety, because all of that is what enables everything else. In my opinion, that's the inherent problem with TikTok, with like doom scrolling, with like the infinite scrolling of Instagram or Reddit or, you know, whatever. It's like you just get content, and it's like, oh, I'm mad about that. Oh, I like that. Oh, that's funny. I'm laughing. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, and it's like, it just like keeps rolling until your eyes just like glaze over and you just are just like a walking zombie, you know? And the problem, that is a problem. It's a problem because it removes your humanity. To be constantly inundated with just crap all the time removes a core essence of your being. It removes your ability to think critically, not only about media you engage with and consume, but about the people in your life, whether it's like your loved ones or the people around you in your community or even your online communities or whatever it is. It's like the fundamental thing about this world that's built by humans for humans is that it's about the humans, you know? And it's like, in this world, we get so lost. It's, you know, social media is just so much, and it's so much to handle, and it's so difficult. Like we weren't built for this, you know? Human beings were not meant to wade through infinite, vast amounts of never-ending, scrollable content. We just weren't built for that, you know? And again, you know, this requires some nuance. You know, I'm not saying throw away your phone, throw away your tablets, never watch YouTube again, but it's like you need a balance to it, right? It's like once in a while, just turn it off. You know, go for a walk, you know, read a book, sit with your thoughts, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk about like what's in your heart, what's in your brain, what's going on in your life, you know? And it's like, yeah, it's hard. It's gonna be hard. It's so freaking hard. You know how hard it is to record this video, to sit here right now telling you all this stuff, bearing my soul, you know? Of course it's hard. But you have to do the hard thing. You have to do it. You have to do the hard thing because that's what gives meaning to your life. If you just let your life pass you by, you know, scrolling all day, chasing the whatever influencers, going to the popular spots, doing what the box tells you to do, is that living? Is that life? I don't know. To me, it's lacking. It's devoid. It's missing something key to the experience of being human. Hey, Future Tim here again. Told you I'd be back. So, handing things off from Sad Tim, what I wanted to kind of elaborate on was this idea of suffering, giving context to our lives. You know, now that I have sort of been around the block and I've been editing what Sad Tim had to say, I wanted to kind of expound a little bit more on what he was saying. And see, the thing is like, the whole point of going through these hard times and the suffering and the sadness and the depression and the anxiety, like what, you know, past Tim was trying to get at is that all of these things, in addition to being the context for all of our lives and giving us, you know, the canvas that we paint the rest of our lives on, the thing about suffering is that it is inevitable. You could be given $1 billion tomorrow. You could roam the planet, do everything you please, and be given total freedom. Whatever it is you need to do, you need to have in order to feel like you can truly live your freest and best self. But you see, the thing is that even in that case, even in this wild, fantastical, perfect scenario, you will once again inevitably suffer. Just like in everyday life. You know, we have this tendency to try to avoid suffering, whether it's our own suffering or other people. We try to get in between other people and their suffering. We try to get in between our own selves and our suffering, whether it's, you know, just mindlessly scrolling or overindulging in snacks or sweets or drugs. You know, all the things that, you know, give you those dopamine hits and those rushes and make you feel good. But you see, the thing is like all the time we spend avoiding suffering by doing things that will inevitably cause more suffering later is that we give our lives away. We give our time, we give our freedom, we give our own volition. We just let it poof up in smoke on the whim of impulse, right? And see, I think the thing that sort of ties us all together, the point of the necessity of suffering, right? Whether it's in putting down your phone, not doing that thing, going out for a walk, touching grass, as you know, the kids say nowadays. The point is that in choosing your suffering, you can choose your own life. You can choose your path. You can choose what's important to you, and you can build and mold and live in the creative state, creating your life, living for yourself, living for your loved ones, living for what's important to you rather than just simply getting by, you know? And of course, you can't do this all of the time. I mean, look at Sad Tim. He could barely get by. He could barely record this video. I mean, I could talk for another 20 minutes, but I'm not going to do that. You know, this is Sad Tim's video. I just wanted to kind of wrap things up, hopefully put a little bit of a different perspective on things and give you well, the perspective of future Tim, which is me, happy Tim. You know, things have been going pretty well lately, but we'll talk about that again, I'm sure. I'll let Sad Tim wrap things up here because he did in his own way. One thing I will say is, if this video means something to you, if this channel means something to you, if this notion of real, if this idea of, the necessity of suffering, adding context to our lives, if these thoughts and these ideas and these philosophies mean something to you, if you want to support this channel, if you want to help me, both future and past, Sad Tim, Happy Tim, every version of Tim, if you want to see this channel thrive and continue, and you don't mind supporting a channel where the video release schedule is a bit sporadic, then the best way to do that would be to head on over to the Patreon, where you can gain access to some exclusive content, as well as just continue to support the work that I do. Because, like Wikipedia, like PBS, this program is brought to you by viewers like you. And I am eternally grateful to everybody that has shown support for this channel, and it helps keep the lights on, helps keep things running without the need for an ad for Shave Club or Fresh or whatever the random crap you don't need and you see tons of YouTube ads for all the time. So yeah, that's my little spiel. I will let Sad Tim wrap things up here. Thank you again for watching. I know he's gonna struggle a bit. He's Sad Tim, what can I say? So I'll catch you guys later. But I don't know. It's like, I don't want this to come off as just like a rant about the world and things and whatever has been going on lately and stuff. And I'm not here to blame other people, and I'm not here to like talk down to you, whoever you are. It's not about that. It's an attempt at real. It's an attempt at doing the thing that I'm talking about. And I don't know. It's the best that I can do, I spend all this time trying to make videos about whatever stuff I feel like is important or interesting or worth, making videos about. And I can't move on until I've made this video. That's just how my brain works, that's how my process works, and that's where I'm at. Hopefully you're watching this because that means I finally finished and got it out there. Just like all these videos, I don't know. It's just stuff that like I just want to tell people, I just want people to know. And it's like the green light at the end of the pier, So yeah, did that make sense? Did it make sense? Is it just rambly and silly and stupid and whatever? This is the culmination of everything that I've gone through lately. It's a big downswing right now. It's a big whoosh, and I feel like this is the closest I've gotten to properly summing up what I needed to say, what I wanted to say, what I hoped to express. I hope it means something. I don't know. If it means anything to you, if you have anything to add, if you have anything to share, if you have just been going through it too, and you want to let me know, that would be awesome. Feel free to do so. Leave a comment, come by the Discord, shoot me an email, come by the Patreon, whatever. At the end of the day, I feel like one of the best things about this entire channel is connecting with other people out there and providing a space for my thoughts to come out into the world, because my thoughts are just merely a reflection of everything that's happened within my sphere of influence and communication lately. And that includes like everybody out there who watches the videos and talks in the Discord, and all of that stuff just sort of like swirls around and like ends up here. And, for whatever reason at this point, I just had to say that. It feels like I finally said what I needed to say. And I hope it makes sense. I'll probably cut a lot of this stuff out. But yeah, I know this isn't really like the usual way I do things or whatever, but this is the darn closest I've gotten to feeling like I said what I needed to say. And that is what's going to enable me to, move forward and make new stuff again. What specifically is coming up next? I'm not sure, more Tim in Japan, more Tim in Europe. I released a couple videos the past month or so. So if you haven't checked it out, feel free to do so. And yeah, also, I'm releasing stuff on the Patreon. I'm trying to do it more regularly. So if you want to keep up with what's going on, I try to post stuff there. A bunch of it is free. Some of the stuff you do need to subscribe to get, but a lot of stuff is free. So check it out. And plus, if you are a backer, you'll get access to the ongoing remasters of Forgotten Ghibli, which the next episode I'll be publishing soon, maybe within the next week or two. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you to all of my supporters. Thank you for everyone who makes videos like this possible. You don't have to tell me. I know this stuff is not algorithm friendly. It's not going to do well out there. It's not going to get a lot of views, but oftentimes I feel like these are the most important videos for me to make because they're such a necessary checkpoint for me, for the channel, for the community. I'm just really thankful to everybody that supports the channel because, it allows me to continue making things like this and, to speak my mind and to say whatever it is, that I feel like needs to be said, which, as we can tell, is not always pretty and nice with a pink bow wrapped around it. But yeah, I think that's it, really. As usual, there's the Instagram, Discord, Patreon, blah, blah, blah. Leave a comment if you want. Always happy to hear from you guys. I learn a lot speaking with the community, and I'm so thankful for everyone who engages and shares, their perspectives and stories with me. I hope that this video was something. I really don't know. A lot of the time I feel like I should just never post things like this and just convert to a full-time food channel or something. I don't know. It's tough to sit here and bare your soul. But for me personally, it feels necessary. It feels like a key part of what makes the channel what it is. So once again, thank you. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. Especially if you can hear this right now, because it means you watched the whole video. I'll be back again soon with some kind of new video. Maybe it'll just be like a Tim in Japan and we can kind of ease back into things. I really do. I always say it, I know, but I really want to get on a more regular release schedule. And I'm gonna try. That's all I can promise. I'm gonna try. Thank you guys for being so patient. You gotta be the most patient subscribers. I am so inconsistent. Thanks guys. I think that's finally it. I know it was a lot, and I hope it wasn't just horribly depressing. I hope it gave you some food for thought and things to, take with you going forward. Maybe it will encourage you to find that resolve inside of you to be a little bit more honest with the people you care about. Because what else do we really have, Thank you guys. Thank you. And, I'll catch you next time. So, see ya.